Thank you. That takes us to 2.12 of the notice. And 2.12.1 says, and it's with reference to the TMPD 1 of 2024-25 bid. What was the purpose of Sergeant and Corsi providing you with the names of bidders, including El Shaddai Security Services, Two Cops in Security Services, CC, Tautal Security, Vision Acuity Security Pty Limited, Shumile Security Services, CC, and Vincere Security and Protection Services?
Thank you, Chair. Paragraph 61. I believe his request was premised at the time on his mistaken belief that I would be able to check if the bids were compliant. He was, of course, wrong. Chairperson, with your permission, I would like to expand on this by referring the Commission to paragraph 71 on page 17 on the same bundle, with your permission, Evidence Leader. With this, so we're going to paragraph 71.
Page 17.
Page 17. The purpose of me aligning these two, Chair, I think it's pertinent for me to outline the compliance-related process, the segregation of duties, and the core responsibilities in terms of compliance work of any bidders. The reason I bring us to this page and this paragraph of my sworn statement, Chair, is I need to explain on that process which must be undertaken, the process of awarding bids. This is in relation or focuses on TMPD 1, 2020-24-25. Chairperson, in paragraph 71, I state that in reference to TMPD 1, I wish to state on record that I did not assist any bidder with respect to the above bid, whether directly or indirectly. I do, however, wish to place on record that Sergeant Nkosi persistently forwarded me names of two prospective bidders who were subsequently awarded as part and parcel of this panel. I have dealt, Chairperson, with the issues of Sergeant Nkosi forwarding me the names of the above, as previously stated in the previous statement, or the paragraph, that it was of the mistaken belief that I would be able to check compliance, which of course I couldn't. On 74, Chair, I just want to break down the sequence of events which lead to the city advertising and awarding bids of this nature, in particular focus on TMPD 1, 24-25. Chairperson, the summary of events have been tabulated for the Commission to take note of, and I think it's pertinent for me to give the summary and to expand on them further while referencing each of the annexures, just to give the Commission an idea whether checking compliance and interfering in the process is probable. Chairperson, in the summary of events, in summary, I take note that the bid specification committee sat on two occasions within this bid, which finalized the approval of the terms of reference as well as the sourcing strategy for TMPD 01, 24-25 on the 29th of July and the 19th of August 2024, respectively. GM9 and GM10 have been annexed as part of bundle number 2. The purpose of me bringing this on board, Chair, is to also reference that there are declaration of interest of several individuals who sit on these committees and ensure that they're able to scrutinize these specifications from an independent perspective. On bundle number 2, Chair, with your permission, without really jumping too much, I want us to look at item 9 and 10 with a pure focus on the individuals who served on the bid specification committee, the role that they played, declaration of interest, and the ultimate approval. This is on GM 9 and 10 of PEC number 2.
And if I can just give the reference, GM9, where I presume we'll start, is at page 58.
Yes. So from GM9, Chairperson, you take note of the minutes of certain individuals. There were about 7 of them who serve within the specification committee. Their role is to independently look at specifications to validate whether they don't favor specific bidders. This is captured in essence from page 59 right up until page number 75. Within this process, Chair, there are 7 individuals who scrutinize these bids accordingly. Yes, the minutes that I'm bringing on board take into account the number of bids, because the bid specification committee doesn't just sit for one bid. There might be other bids that are involved. But I think for the purpose of this committee, we are referring to TMPD 01, 2024-25. So this is a demonstration, Chair, that the first stage of the process in the test of independence in terms of development of specifications and ensuring availability of budget to the sourcing strategy is done by an independent committee. Then going to jump straight, Chair, back to my summary of events. Chairperson, I think maybe what I should do is complete the summary of events as I go to each paragraph I do expand on each of the summary events. We'll then reference those annexures on bundle number 2. The advert, Chair, was completed and advertised on the 26th of August 2024. Annexure GM11, item 5 has been brought on board. The closing register for this bid in question was the 2nd of October 2024. Annexure GM12.
Sorry, Mr. Mnisi. I know you've gone back into the statement, but bear in mind that the Commissioner's not moving as quickly. You know where you're going, they don't. So if you are going to move between the documents, can you just give references and give the Commissioners an opportunity to get to where you've gone?
Okay. Chairperson, I'm back to my sworn statement on page number 18. The purpose of this is to complete the summary of the events and the tabulated structure before we go to each of the annexures, which I'll refer to in the other paragraph between paragraph 75 and, of course, 109. Closing register on page number 18. The fourth on the tabulated structure is on the 2nd of October 2024. I've attached the annexure GM12, which we'll go through later. The bid evaluation committee sat on various occasions, taking into account there were a number of bids and there was immense work that needed to be concluded in terms of providing this. However, I have attached GM13 and 14 as the final BEC reports that were presented to the bid adjudication committee for consideration and scrutiny. The bid adjudication chair for this particular bid sat on 3 separate occasions. On the 4th of September 2025, the 18th of September 2025, the 25th of September 2025, I've attached annexure GM 16 and 17 in reference, 15, 16, and 17 in reference to the 3 sittings of the bid adjudication committee. Further to this process, Chair, this was subjected to an independent probity by an external legal firm who is independent to validate that the work that has been concluded by the bid evaluation committee before it comes to BAC is up to standard and they have not missed any glitch or process within the supply chain management structure. Then lastly, peculiar to this tender, there was a confirmation report as a result of the BAC wanting to ensure that the BEC had effectively addressed all issues that had been raised by the external independent legal firm that's appointed as an oversight structure before awards are made. I'll move to paragraph 75, Chair, where the purpose of this is to demonstrate that I could in no way influence the process here under and explain the detailed process followed in respect to the said bid. On 76, Chair, I now touch on the process of advertisement of the tender. Subsequent to the approval of the bid specification process as outlined above, I have recorded annexure GM9 and 10 as a formal communication wherein myself as the Chief Financial Officer and the City Manager approve and endorse the tender for advertisement as a result of these being fully compliant from the first stage of the advert. GM9 and 10 have been attached to this bundle, Chair. This is the approval that is signed by myself and the City Manager as an additional step of ensuring that we are pleased with the process that the bid specification committee had concluded. On paragraph 77, Chair.
Sorry, again, apologies for interrupting. But Mr. Mnisi, if you're not going to go specifically to GM9 and 10 to discuss them, or then I should just give the references for the Commissioner so they can annotate their statements so they know where to go, unless you're going to go there separately later.
Yes, Chair, I think I need to go there just to give the Commission an overview of that.
Thanks.
So on the second bundle, I had left you previously, I think, on page number, when we're completing the
58.
specifications. We'll now move over from the specifications that we've discussed previously to the actual advert that has been brought on board. Chairperson, this is captured under page number 116. 116 is a communication from Coop Financial Services, which indicates the purpose of the memorandum in terms of advertising specific bids. And this was part and parcel of completion of the work that has been done by the bid specification committee. On page number 116 and page 117 is the approval between myself and the City Manager, endorsing the advert to proceed as a result of our happiness and pleasure in terms of the work that has been concluded by the bid specification committee. Further to that, Chair, note on page 119, it's the actual advert, and I know it's a bit small, but I'm sure you can see we reference item number 5, which deals with TMPD. There were a number of tenders that we issue on a regular basis, Chair. For this particular item under discussion, it's item number 5. The advert is then broken down and continues further up until page number 131. Chair, I will then move back to the original statement. I have dealt with the paragraph 76 as well as GM9 and GM10. On paragraph 77, on my sworn statement, page 19. The tender relates to the provision for services for monitoring, prevention of illegal land building occupation, as well as demolition of unlawfully erected structures within the city. This tender was listed here under number 5 with the approved advert. The approved communication is hereby attached as GM11 for ease of reference. I think, Chairperson, we have touched on GM11 as well previously in the second bundle, which I referenced from GM11 on page 115, 116, 117, and up until page 131.
Okay,
That's
can
the
I just ask something? I think 118 and 117 have to be swapped around. Can you just have a look at those 2 pages? Because when I read it the first time, I thought there was something missing after 116. I then realized that 118 should come before 117.
Commissioner, I agree to that. I think the
that's the
scanning the
only
pages
way
was
it
swapped
makes
around.
sense.
Yes.
Yeah.
Chair, thank you very much. I will then move over to paragraph 78 on the sworn statement, starting on page 19 again. This tender officially closed on the 2nd of October. In accordance with the stipulated submission deadline and procurement requirements, there was a total of about 57 bids that were received at the time of closing. All bids, Chair, were duly recorded and secured, and the bid opening process was conducted in line with the city supply chain management procedures to ensure transparency, fairness, and compliance with applicable regulatory frameworks. The bids were thereafter forwarded to evaluation in accordance with the prescribed procurement processes. The closing register has been attached as Annex GM12, which I will go to shortly. These bids, Chair, I must stress, once submitted, are stored safely under lock and key and can only be accessed via official register through certain approved individuals within the procurement structure. With your permission, Chair, I will quickly touch on GM12, which is on the second bundle. If we're together, the second bundle is on page 132. Mentioned as GM12. You'll take note, Chair, this is the raw closing register that was finalized on the day, which was distributed to several individuals who are interested in. There is a slight difference to the one SC on Index 4 as a result of that being a typed out version and it's uploaded on the city's website. However, I can confirm that these are a mirror of each other. It's a raw document that is done on the closing day vis-a-vis on bundle number 4, something that's typed out officially and then uploaded on the city's website. It is, however, still the final closing register for the bid that is signed off and scrutinized by the relevant individuals. In this case, it runs through to page 147, and we can see the stamp of authority and confirmation that there were 57 bids that were received. Chair, I will move to bundle number 1, the sworn statement again, on paragraph 79. On paragraph 79, page 19 of the sworn statement. All bids were duly recorded and secured, and the bid opening processes were conducted in line with, I think we've dealt with the 79, Chair. Let's move over to 20, where we deal with 80 on the extensions. This tender, Chairperson, was subject to extensions on 3 occasions. 31st of March 2025, 29th of June 2025, 27th of September 2025. All these extensions, Chair, I can confirm, were done in line with the city supply chain management processes and procedures and policies under the delegated authority of the Director Acquisition Management. It must be noted, Chair, that the extension process falls under or within the prescribed SCM delegation framework, and I, in my capacity as the Chief Financial Officer, am not involved or responsible for the approval of such extensions. It is a delegated function. Paragraph 80 and 83, I now touch on the bid specification process. On this bid specification process, Chair, I think we've had the pleasure of looking at GM 9 and 10 as well earlier on. The bid specification process duly was considered and approved the terms of reference of TMPD 01 pertaining to the provision of services for the monitoring and prevention of illegal land and building occupation, as well as demolition of unlawfully erected structures within the city of Tshwane on the 19th of September. This committee was constituted by 7-member panel chaired by Mr. J.M. March. The official minutes of the bid specification committee are attached herein as GM 9 and 10, where the details of the tender are recorded. I think we have touched on GM 9 and 10 previously, Chair, and what was essential for me to bring the members of the commission and the evidence leaders on board is that this was a process that was undertaken by a separate committee from an independent perspective. They had completed their declarations of authorities in accordance. So I would not want to waste the chairpersons of the commission's time by referring back to GM 9 and 10, which we have touched on the summary document. On 84, I want to touch on the bid evaluation committee processes, which I will refer us later on to GM 13 as well as GM 14 in the second pack. Chairperson, on 84, I state under oath that the bid evaluation committee was duly constituted and comprised of 6 members chaired by Mr. Victor Hopper, and they commenced their work on the 21st of August 2025. The composition of the BEC ensured appropriate representation from supply chain management, the user department, as well as the department responsible for this tender, thereby promoting objectivity, technical competence, and compliance within the city supply chain management framework to ensure that this is not a group financial services matter. It is a function that must be undertaken by TMPD, Department of Human Settlement, and all relevant departments who make use of the tender and who own these tender processes.